Welcome to Raising the Ceiling. I'm Jacob Henderson, and this is the podcast where we talk to different players, coaches, and experts about what it really takes to unlock potential and push soccer development here in the U.S. to the next level. Today, I have the honor of talking to Gonzalo. Gonzalo spent 10 years developing at Atletico Madrid before making his jump to the United States through La Liga's Pro Player program, which we'll talk about. And then he built up. He started at Mississippi College, ended up at D1 being a captain, and along the way and through the years, he's played on multiple USL teams, including the local team here where I live, the LA Crew. So, Gonzalo's story is a window into the reality of chasing professional game as a player, both the challenges and the triumphs. And I'm excited to dive in today. So thanks for joining us, Gonzalo. First
Thank you.
question. I guess, hey, anything you want to add to that before we get going?
Nothing. Just thank you very much for the introduction. It makes me look good.
No, I appreciate it, man. I got the pleasure of watching you in person this year. So with that, let's dig in. And I want to start in your early years. We'll kind of progress from early development at Atletico all the way up to now. So first off, what was it like training and developing at a world-renowned academy at such a young age?
At the beginning, it was tough because I used to play. Well, my early beginnings started at a local club in my neighborhood. With all my friends, like everybody, when I was like 5, 6 years old. I remember they had to edit my my age because I was too young to compete. But then I scored about, I think, one season like 80 goals in this local league, and they called me from Atletico de Madrid, and the first day I didn't want to go in because and my granddad was in the entrance of the training facility saying, no, you gotta go, this is a good opportunity for you. And I didn't want to go because I was too shy to play with all these guys that were playing there, which at the time, now that I go back, it was something like really minuscule, but it was great. You're like in a bubble when you're in Atletico de Madrid. They treat you amazingly. You have everything that other players outside of these academies don't have, and you're living like in a bubble to the point where you don't realize where you are. They treat you so well. They take care of your grades. They take care of your playing. They take care of you physically and mentally. And and then once you're out of there, you look back and you're like, this treatment, um, I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna get it again. So it was great. I loved it. It was probably one of the most the best experiences of my life, and it lasted for 10 years. So I'm grateful for that.
No, that's amazing. So how did that environment kind of shape your understanding of the game, both technically and mentally?
I think since you're well, I got to Atletico de Madrid when I was 8 years old, and since the very beginning, they start developing you as a player, but more as a person. I think they understand that players are people, and one player is a person that if you develop their maturity whenever they transition into 16, 17, 18 years old, when everything comes down to extend you a contract or not, you need to be mature enough to embrace these challenges. And I think that's something that they emphasize a lot since an early age, which is developing you as a person. Of course, in terms of physical, tactical, and mental, they are always next to you. I remember when I was 11, we went to a training camp 3 days away from our family, where they introduced us to nutrition, working with a sports psychologist, a lot of tactical concepts that you are 9, 10, 11. And then they were explaining this when I got to college to some players that were 19, 20 years old. And I was like, well, I've seen this when I was 10, like how to open your body, where your touch has to go, all these little things that they teach you since you're 9, 10, 11, because they understand that is the best age to learn and where you're going to retain more information.
No, what's the one thing you would sit here and say, that you learned at Atletico that you don't typically see emphasized in youth development programs here?
I would say this is tough because I haven't been around a lot of youth development programs in the US,
Okay.
but I think it's the attention that they pay to the little details. Like I said before, where your touch has to go when certain player moves to this spot. If you want to take a shot, how do you want your touch to be? If it has to be longer, maybe because you're gonna have a powerful shot. I don't know. It's the attention to those little details, maybe including, I think, something that comes with the money that there is in Europe invested in soccer, and especially in Spain. It's the time that they spend with you taking care of these little details. Film
Yeah.
sessions, you are maybe like 13, 14, extra practices. I remember when I was 12, I was already practicing 4 times a week plus a game. And I've seen here in the US that most teams at that age are training twice. So since I was 12, I was getting twice as training and twice as time on the training field and in the locker room with my teammates. And going out to tournaments as people here in the US are spending. Now I see that the US is investing so much money now in soccer. They just brought the FIFA Club World Cup, and now the World Cup coming in 2026. So of course they're doing big changes, and I'm sorry, in major academies like might be like Philadelphia, Austin, they are already introducing these training methods. Just because I had coaches that are now coaching in these academies in the US. When I was back in
Yeah.
Atlético, so I'm pretty sure they're doing kind of like the same. But I think just to sum up, those attention to little details and spending more time with the player and with the team than what they do here in the US.
No, that's a great thought. Couldn't agree more, and that's something that we talk about internally as a team is, one of the challenges we see here with soccer relative to other sports that are popular is that ability to create the locker room that you mentioned, right? Most times the time you are with your team in youth soccer is only at that hour and a half practice 3 times a week, and then when you're on the tournament. Whereas, inside of the school atmosphere where football and baseball really take hold of kids in high school. They're going to school together. After school, they're sitting in the locker room till it's practice time or weight room time. And then after that, they're hanging out. So it really builds that relationship with your teammates that truly does affect performance of everybody on the team, especially if it's a positive locker room. So great thought there. In regards to training, would you sit here and say training was more individual focused in your early years of that 10 to 13, 14, or was it mostly team development concepts that you were doing?
I would say it was team development, and you as an individual had to pick up those concepts quickly. Because, of course, in Spain, since you are two, your parents will put a ball in your feet. If, especially back when I was born, like in the early 2000s, you were put into a soccer ball as quick as possible. It's just a culture part. It's just the culture of Spain. So in Spain and in Europe, there is so many kids that want to play soccer. So sometimes might be tough because from an early age, you are dropped out of these teams and they tell you that you can't play, or you might be 9 years old and you spend the whole game on the bench and you don't even see the field. But they would focus especially on the team because they understand that the team goes before the player, and you as a player had to pick up those concepts really quickly, or next season maybe you wouldn't make the team and you won't be playing for Atletico de Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona, or whoever anymore. So they understand that sometimes you have to sacrifice some players that you might not be able to develop them but they put the team first. Of course, they pay attention to you in games. They tell you have to do this or that, especially at an early age. They explain the concepts to you personally, and if you're one of the better players in the team, they're always going to spend more time. The coach is always going to spend more time with you because they see value in you. They see you as a potential first team player in the future. So of course, but I think the team always goes first.
No, I appreciate that. That's great insight. So when you were 17, and you mentioned you didn't get that spot on the U19 team, and how did you handle that setback mentally and emotionally? And then also, what ultimately made you decide that the U.S. college route was the right next step for you?
I would say the first 2 days were pretty difficult because I remember it was weird since when I was 17, I hadn't developed physically yet as some of my other teammates. Some of my other teammates were stronger, be faster, taller, and they did not tell me don't come back to Atletico de Madrid. They offered me the chance to stay with that 17 U17 team, but I got really mad. I remember I got really angry with them, and I was like, I don't want to be playing with 17 years old when I was gonna be 18, and I'm from August. So for a little bit of the season, I was gonna be 17 too. But I got really mad, and at the beginning it was tough, and we tried to talk to them and be like, oh, just please let me do the preseason with the U19s and stuff like that. But they were pretty set on their position. And then they told us about this program, which is La Liga Pro Player, where the first division, basically the organization La Liga, sponsor guys that they saw potential on, maybe not playing at the very best level with a professional contract in Spain, but that they had enough level to come to the US and get a scholarship. So they would sponsor us. We went to a couple training camps, and a lot of college coaches would come to watch the games, and they got to know us, and we got to know them. And going through that process with this program of La Liga Pro Player, and seeing all the infrastructure that they have here, all the facilities, how they treat you. Of course, when they present you the program, they show you UCLA, they show you Clemson, they show you all these top 10 schools that are great, which the reality is that most of the people coming from overseas, they start somewhere else, that not in these top 10 schools in Division 1. But I don't know. I thought it was a good experience. It was a good opportunity. I had other offers to play in Spain and develop in the third division, or in a different local U19 team from Madrid. Looking back, I could have searched for something overseas, maybe coming from a strong academy like Atletico. Maybe I would have had the opportunity to go to a different academy outside of Spain. But I don't know. My parents always told me that studying was important and having a degree was important. And just the US gave me the opportunity to do that without having to pay, and keep playing soccer and trying to make it professionally here in the US.
No, I mean, that's amazing. Those are great thoughts there, and kids listening, parents listening, hopefully you take that thought that he just put out there, and you kind of internalize it. You know, you don't always just start. Even the best players from the best academies don't just come over and start at the top, right? You got to start somewhere, build your way up. Soccer's a small community here, right? If you're good enough, you'll get an opportunity. Do you take that opportunity? That's ultimately up to you, but just given the small community that soccer is, even though a lot of people are inside of it, everybody knows everybody, right? Every coach knows another 100 coaches. And so when you have a good coach, they see that, they will have those conversations with other people to give you that opportunity. So I love that. When we're gonna dig into more into the college now. I know when you first came here, you started at Mississippi College, and that wasn't necessarily maybe what you had expected. What did you learn from that experience? And what would you tell somebody that is looking to transition from into college, whether they're US or international based, when it comes to choosing a college?
I would say always find a connection with the coach and with the school, because at the end the coach is who's gonna play you, is the person that is your boss, let's say, and you have to see him every day. So finding a connection with your coach and with the school, making sure that you are comfortable wherever you go, because you're gonna have to spend maybe 4 years there. So finding a school that you feel comfortable going, it's important. But as an international, and the purpose why I came to the US, it was more about the coach. Of course, now we see a lot of players from overseas coming to the US. And I think when I came back in 2018, 19, I don't remember pretty well right now, it was the start of international players being more common to come to the US and play. And I didn't really understand what was the NCAA, Division One, Division Two. When they brought me here, they said, "Oh, it doesn't really matter where you go, Division Two, Division One. It's just a distinction that they do in terms of money and facilities that they have, or the variety of sports that the university offers. And I got to Mississippi College, and I'm from Madrid. I'm from a big city, so it was first of all a shock in terms of culture, and then I see the team, and the team is full of internationals, because Division 2 is full of international people. There were maybe um, 10, 12 Americans. And in the starting 11, I think we had one and he got injured. The whole starting 11 and basically everybody that was playing was from overseas. It was difficult because I was coming from playing a different thing. It was different. Everything was super quick, super technical, and the coaches were really, really experienced where I was coming from. And I think where I got to Mississippi College, it was more an environment with older people. I think the average of the team was probably 22, with players getting up to 26, 27, and they were coming from all over the place. So it was adapting was not easy, because you're 17 and you're in the middle of nowhere for me, which I was coming from like a super big city with a lot of things to do, and now I'm in the south of the United States, and with all these old people, I barely knew English. So it was difficult to communicate sometimes, and it's a different playing style. But I think I adapted really, really quickly. And I've seen players at Mississippi College that come from academies in Europe that they couldn't adapt. And I was like, wow, it has to be tough for this kid that was playing, that was so close to be professional back in his country in Europe, and now he's not even playing at all in the US in the Division 2 from the collegiate level. But yeah, then COVID happened, so it was like thing, and we couldn't really play. It was tough. The season was shorter, and after COVID passed a little bit, I tried to transfer, because even though the level was good, I knew that if I wanted to keep playing after college, I had to be playing at a better level, and I definitely could do it.
So talk to me about that. What did that process look like for you? Was that something that you initiated and did the outreach to coaches, or was it more at that point because you had some experience playing?
I would say it was more that they knew me. So after my second season in Mississippi College, which was when I was looking to transfer, I got introduced to the USL 2. They told me that there is this league, happens during the summer. It's like a pre-professional league where the best players from NCAA go and compete during the summer just to get fit and get ready for the season that starts in August. And I was like, okay, let me look into it. And then I saw that there was like 60, 70 teams into this USL 2 league, and it was all around the country. So I thought it was interesting, and I reached out to a couple of clubs. So I sent my highlights video, and this guy from Spain, which was the assistant coach from Corpus Christi, which was my USL my first USL 2 team, which is like it's currently going professional in 2026, to the USL 1. And I remember he told me, yeah, come here. We're going to have these other guys that somehow I knew them back from Spain, because all of us went through the La Liga Pro Player Academy. A guy was coming from Osasuna, and the other one was coming from Celta de Vigo, I think. And on top of that, they were bringing more players from overseas. And I was like, wow, this seems fun. The level seems really good. All of the guys that were on the team were coming from big D1s, and I went there saying like, well, let's see how is this, because these guys, they had contracts back in Spain. They were playing in the U19 teams from La Liga. Some of them are named to be in the MLS draft. Let's see how it is. And I got there. It was a great environment, great coach, great coaching stuff, and that's when I felt again, this is what I used to play back in Spain. This feels more like soccer, only three changes, three subs at the time. Now it's 5 or 7, I don't know, but it was three subs at the time. No unlimited substitute. There is extra time. All these kind of things that made me feel like, okay, I was like, this is back. And we started playing. At the beginning, I didn't really have my starting spot secured, but I was starting. I think a couple guys were a little bit injured, so I was playing. We played the Houston Dynamo MLS Next Pro team a couple times as a preseason. It was just the starting of the MLS Next Pro, and they were putting together a team with a couple players. They were bringing a couple players from the MLS team as well that they were not having minutes to play against us, and we beat them twice 4-1, and it was like, wow, that's the MLS level or MLS Next Pro. That's a professional league, and we just beat these guys that most of them were like 19, 18 years old, but I was 19 at the time too, and we beat them twice for one. It was great, and then we had a great season. We made the national players for the first time in the club history, and I played everything. I played every single minute. I did really good. This coach played me as a defensive midfielder, which I had never played. And that's what got me into D1 later because I had a good season at the USL2 level. Some coach from the league, the assistant coach from Longwood University, saw me playing and they offered me a full ride to go there. There are other ways for players, US, foreigners, sorry, internationals. You can always go through an agency. That's how most people in Spain come to the US. There are agencies. Now they're pretty expensive. You might have to pay, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, and they do all the process for you. They find you a school that it's what you want or what you expect. But I was offered a full ride in D1 um, because because someone saw me playing face to face in real life. So there is a lot of ways to go to transfer, to get a school, to get a scholarship, either to sign professionally. But if they see you playing, that's when they know that you can play at that level. So for me, it was pretty easy because I got myself in the transfer portal. Of course, I was contacting coaches on my own. I'm trying to send them emails. These coaches receive maybe like 200 emails a day, so it's pretty difficult. I talked to a couple of them, but and I got like some offers where I wasn't getting a full scholarship, which was what I was looking for. And out of nowhere, one day, this coach messaged me. His name is Sean Pierce now. I think he's doing something with the Colorado Switchbacks now in the USL Championship. But he messaged me and it's like, hey, I want you to come play for me. I'm gonna give you this, and this. You're gonna be taken care of. And I was like, wow, that's great. Like that was pretty easy. And he gave me really good vibes. So even the program wasn't historically the best one, he gave me really good vibes. And I had a connection with him where I said, okay, let's do this. Let's switch my life from Mississippi to Virginia. And on top of that, he offered me to play for his USL2 team the next season. So it was great. It was a great deal.
No, that's awesome. That's amazing. I mean, I think that, continues to just show kind of what we talked about earlier is continuing the grind, continuing to put yourself out there in places that people can see you. And as you perform and do well in those situations, again, it's a small community. Somebody's going to see you, somebody's going to say something, and that's going to give you an opportunity to continue to progress. So when you made that jump, kind of what would you say, one, two things, what that was the biggest difference, if anything, between jumping from D2 to D1?
I would say it's not really the quality of the players. I think there is a lot of quality in D2 and in D1. The only thing is that in D2, players might be older, so they might be more focused towards their professional careers in terms of finding a job or doing something else. And I feel like in D1, in most colleges, you have a group of guys that are chasing the dream to be professional. So they're way more consistent. The quality is about the same, but the physicality of the game, how people train, the mentality of the players is different. So I would say they're more consistent. And in most cases, of course, generally, it's not always the same thing, but generally the players are more physical, their mentality is stronger, and they really want to be professional. They really want to transition to the MLS or to the USL one or championship, and that's what they are rooting for. They wake up every day thinking about that. Whereas in the Division 2, yes, you have some players that are doing that, but you also have some other players that are there because they want to study, get a master's degree, and they love the game, and they are just even if they still want to be professional, it's not the same mentality. So that's why there is a little bit of a difference. I don't think the difference is huge. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
if you put the top team from the Division 1 play against the top team in Division Two, it's gonna be an even game. It's gonna be 2-1, 2-2. The D2 team might win. So I don't think the difference is that much. It's just that constant chasing of what they want.
I think that's a great insight. And again, it goes back to what I really want people to hear is, it's okay to start off in JUCO. It's okay to start off in D3. Like, even though they have a lower classification, it doesn't mean that the quality's less. It doesn't mean that you can't progress equally or more than you would at going to a Division I school, right? And understanding, hey, if your ultimate goal is to play professionally, it's okay to start there. It's where you finish, it's not where you start. It's pathways, like I said, JUCO, NAIA, D3, they all give you that continuing opportunity to put yourself out there, to continue to develop and continue to move on. So great stuff there. All right, now I'm going to move into your pro career here in USL. First question, just kind of starting in the USL 2. What, if anything, did you get out of the USL 2 seasons that you didn't necessarily get out of college soccer?
I think the USL 2, well, in my opinion, the USL 2 is a league that could potentially be longer. I think 2 months and a half, 3 months are really, really short. And the quality that there is in some clubs in terms of organization, facilities, and quality of players is really good and could be longer. But I would say those 3 months are just dedicated to soccer. And I think that's where some players really make a difference in terms of when they play in college, they're worried about exams, going to class, having to do this and that, and NCAA compliance, all these things. And when you're in the USL two, is just another semi-professional league in the world where you might face players that are 30, you might face players that are 16, or you might have players coming from everywhere. The conditions are maybe the facilities are maybe not the same, so all the fields are not perfect like they might be in D1. When I got to D1, I felt like as I was playing in Spain in second division, because the grass is perfect, so the ball doesn't bounce, doesn't do anything. So I think everything evens out a little bit more between the collegiate levels. And I think if you take it as you want to be focused 100% on soccer, it's great to have a taste of what that professional experience might look like. Personally, I think if a player cannot be locked in for 3 months trying to be as professional as possible, a professional team in a league where you have to be locked in for 10, 11 months won't consider you. I think that's the difference, where you see which players really want to play, because sometimes you get to places where there is nothing else to do, or you don't have a car, you cannot move, you have to be soccer, 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 soccer. And I've seen a lot of players with a lot of quality that they are super motivated, but after a month and a half or 2 months, they are out. Why? Because they are sick of playing, they are sick of going to practice, they are sick of not going out or doing their thing, and they start feeling like they're losing their summer. And then there are some other players, and I would include myself there, where they really like and they see the professional experience that they are getting in these USL2 teams, and they are 3 months locked in, playing and training every day, and always thinking about what they have to do and trying to go to the playoffs and trying to be the national champions. And they finish the season, and they feel like, I wish there was more, not just 3 months. So I think it's that constant thinking of soccer, 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 soccer. This is my job. I gotta do this, and I want to win.
No, that's great. And that goes back to a previous session that I did with my brother, where one of his biggest changes that he wants the U.S. to try and figure out is, how do we get kids that professional experience earlier in life? We've done a really good job on the technical training of youth kids. Now we've got to teach them how to be a pro earlier, so that they can have that pro experience longer. And the longer you're in that, the higher your ceiling is going to be, because you are learning all the little things for a much longer time period, as opposed to it being later on in life. So great thoughts there. And I really love how that kind of ties into, what other people have said that we've talked to. So another opportunity for you was with North Carolina FC, but because of visa issues and an injury, that opportunity didn't come to fruition. So Now it's happened again later in life. How did you handle that? What was your approach to that?
Yeah, that was at the end of the 2024 season with the crew. So last year, I just got out of college. I played my last what I thought it was gonna be my last USL 2 season, and things went great. As a team, we didn't make the national playoffs, which was upsetting because I thought we had the quality to make it. But personally, I'm probably one of my best seasons here in the US so far. And through some contacts and someone here in the crew, they put me in touch with the North Carolina coach. Well, it was already August, so the season is almost over. They were probably not going to sign me, but they invited me to go there for like a week or two, train with them and see what they could tell me maybe for next season or something like that. And the moment where the coach messaged me one day before, I had left to Spain because I didn't think that was going to happen. I had left to Spain and I had to renew my visa. My visa took a month and a half to renew, and once I got back here to the US, it was already September, almost October, and I kept training in Spain. And I was still in touch with the coach. And once I got to the to to the US, I went to my school to Longwood, Virginia, because I had my car parked there and some other stuff. And I was training one day after getting into the US, and I teared my quad training by myself with another teammate, and that was really upsetting. I think those setbacks, they make you think a lot in the moment. But the way I took it was okay. It's fine. The only thing that I need to do now is recover my quad, not do anything, which was really difficult. But I knew that another opportunity will come. I've always had setbacks. I've always faced a lot of challenges, and for whatever reason, something always comes up later. And if you keep training and if you keep yourself prepared and you keep usually a positive mentality, because it would be really easy to say, okay, that was the only opportunity I'm gonna have in my life. That's not gonna happen again in 3 months or in 5 months, whenever I recover, it's not going to be the same. And that's not true. In my opinion, that's not true because I kept training every day. I kept with the same mentality. And then other opportunities came up in February, in March, when I was fit again. Of course, it's not ideal because I was coming from playing and I was coming from playing at a really good level. So it would have been great to be in a professional environment in the second division in the United States with that level of fitness. Of course, an injury like that, having to do other things over time, not competing at a high level for 3, 4 months, keep you not out of shape, but not at a competitive level. But that's what I had to do. I had to keep training. I knew another opportunity was gonna come, and I didn't want to miss that next one.
Yep. No, I think that's great. And again, common theme. That's why I love talking to you. I love the energy and the effort and the ability for you to continue to push forward, chasing, your dream, doing what you love. And so I think that's an amazing asset and attribute to have, right, as a person. So anybody out there listening that's looking for a player, give him that opportunity. He's got a great head on his shoulders, and he's also a great player. So go wrap it up with 3 quick questions. First one: if you could go back and tell your 13-year-old self one piece of advice, soccer related, what would it be?
I don't know if this is soccer related. I think this is more in terms of what mentality to adopt in terms of what you want to do. And I think it would be don't believe everything that they tell you because a lot of people are going to come to you and they're going to tell you a lot of things that you probably don't want to hear. And sometimes they might be right and sometimes they might not, or they might act out of them seeing themselves threatened or jealous or something. And I think if I could tell something to my younger self, it would be don't believe what other people tell you. Just stay put on what you really want, because that's something that I truly didn't do, and I should have listened more to myself than to other people when I was growing up. Which of course doesn't mean don't listen to your coaches, don't listen to your technical directors. No, no, no. Of course you gotta listen to people that have experience in the field. But if you want something, keep yourself in the path to make it and to pursue that.
Absolutely, perseverance. And I think your story tells that, right? You know where you want to get to, and you're going to get there. Doesn't matter the ups and downs along the way. Those are all things you learn from, you grow from. So that's awesome. Next question: who has had the biggest impact on your career, whether it was a coach, mentor, teammate, and kind of what was the one thing that stuck with you?
I think, I mean, a lot of coaches. I've had a lot of coaches that have impacted my career here in the U.S. I've had the coach from Corpus Christi, Adriano Versari. He was a really great coach. He got that kid back in Atletico love soccer again. Um, Joan has made me fall in love with the crew and with the project that they have here. And of course, back in Atletico, I've had great coaches that are now coaching professionally or overseas. But I would say the two people that made me fall in love with soccer were my two grandparents. I think both of them, they would always take me to practice. They are the ones that told me to keep playing if that's what I wanted and to always do what you love. So I think both of them, they were really, really present on my youth with Atletico. And they would always take me to practice wherever I go. And they were always saying, as far as you love what you do, keep doing it, and that's where it's gonna take you. It's gonna take you everywhere. If you can play a sport at a really high level, your life is most likely gonna be really good as long as you persevere with it.
Awesome. No, I'm sure they would love to hear that. When say that. So that's amazing. All right, last question. World Cup's less than a year away. Who you got winning it?
I mean, current Europe champions, Spain. I think it's probably one of the most exciting squads in the last few years from Spain. I still like more the 2010 squad, but I'm pretty excited to see what Spain can do in this World Cup, and hopefully we can win. And moreover, I can be in Spain to celebrate.
There you go. Going with the home pick. I love it. Well, Gonzalo, thank you so much for hopping on, having these conversations. It's great insight. Love everything you had to say. And for those listening, hopefully you take something away from it that's valuable. And until next time.
Thank you very much.